why basal insulin feels so unpredictable in midlife. And then the fluctuating, along with that lowered estrogen, progesterone is fluctuating. We can expect the unexpected highs or lows depending on where that level is. And this is all about the luteal phase. This is when it gets a little shaky. This is the last 2 weeks of your cycle. So this is after ovulation up until you begin your first of the month bleed. So that is generally day 1 of your cycle is when you start to menstruate. And yeah, these are all the things that we just have to be aware of. It's so important to understand the why and how your body's responding so that we can kind of step back and say, oh, well, what about this idea, right? And this is a good example that my client used. Another thing is the cortisol spikes, like I mentioned, the early morning rises and the afternoon dips. So this is another thing. I think what happened with my client is she was taking that one basal shot, that one dose at night, and Levemir is an insulin that lasts anywhere from 8 to 14 hours, which is not very long. So if you are taking a shot, let's say 10 p.m. at night, even 14 hours later, that's noontime, right? So that's peak time. So by noontime the next day, you're starting to lose your punch as far as your basal. So your basal is really starting to slide off. You don't have that support. That's what keeps us steady. That's what keeps that glucose alongside the bolus and the short acting that we're using for mealtime, but that's what's going to hold us steady. So this is what she was noticing. She was noticing those afternoon rises, again, because her insulin wasn't lasting long enough. Because hormones now change hour by hour, one fixed basal dose often can't cover a full 24 hours anymore. So let's go over the different types of long-acting insulin. So these are the basal insulins, because not all of them behave or respond in your body the same. So we're going to start with Glargine, and this is a type of insulin. Again, this is the chemical name. These are things I have to write down because I can't keep these all in my head either. So I have a chart just to keep track of them but these are typically the Lantus, the Basaglar, and the Toujeo, and they can last up to 20 hours. Again, this is such a average number that I'm going to give you, and this is what is written on the packaging. This is information you can find on the web with the companies that are producing these insulin and making them for us. So this is not information that is hidden. It's just something we got to look for and know about. The next one, like my client was using, was the Levemir, and that lasts, again, like I said, 8 to 14 hours. And that is considered a Dedamir. That is, again, I'm going to call it the chemical name. And if I get this wrong, correct me. Okay. And then the last one is Tresiba. This is the Degludec. And this is a super long, up to 42 hours. And this is interesting. This is the insulin I was taking during perimenopause for years. I loved it. Pluses and minuses with a very long acting insulin is like that, is that it's staying steady 24 hours a day. Well, in this case, more than 24 hours a day. Tresiba and most insulins are not something that you can stack. So that's the good news. So if you're taking Tresiba, one shot a day, one insulin dose a day, every 24 hours, and you do it every 24 hours, are you going to continue to accumulate all this insulin in your body? Well, the theory is no, that your body's absorbing and it's a slow release, and it's releasing based on, your body and the system and the timing of the release. So I personally never had a problem with it stacking if I happen to overlap, or just the fact that, you're dosing every 24 hours